It is the absolute best of times for Major League Baseball. We're at Tigers Stadium in Detroit on a gorgeous fall day with bright sunshine, clear skies, and a full house. And the standings in the American League East tell the tale. A win by Detroit today, and the Tigers go to the playoffs. A win by the Blue Jays today, and Toronto forces a one-game playoff tomorrow. ABC Sports, the network of the 1987 World Series, on this final day of the regular season, presents Sunday afternoon baseball, the big one in the American League East, the Toronto Blue Jays and the Detroit Tigers. On Friday night, Doyle Alexander pitched the Tigers to a win, and the two teams were tied for first. Then yesterday in the 12th inning, Alan Trammell grounded one through Manny Lee's legs to put the Tigers in first. They can clinch the East today. Hi, everyone. I'm Al Michaels. Welcome to Tiger. Number 9 for Larry Herdon, 1-0 Detroit.
Ninth home run of the year. Tries to get the ball in and gets in a little bit, and Herdon's a low ball hitter yet. If you look at the configurations, as you look at Bell going back, the power alleys are very short here in Detroit. One of those balls, if you can jump up on the ledge, and I've seen it done, you have a chance to catch that ball, but fighting the sun, that's a tough.
Morrison on the line at third base, and not a bad idea with Orge hitting and a left-handed pitcher throwing a lot of breaking balls. Similar yesterday with Mullenix on the line. And there's an example right there that Orge can pull the ball, so you're trying to prevent the double. Baseball, however, baseball's obsession with guarding the line is not as much in vogue nowadays as it once was. And it's for the better.
They used to do it with everybody.
Yeah.
You have a guy that's throwing bounding balls in the hole, and you're playing the line, and then the next guy comes up and hits a 2-run home run, and you lose.
But the combination of Frank Tanana throwing a lot of change-ups and curveballs, saying similar to Flanagan throwing a lot of curveballs yesterday, and Mullenix made a fine play on a ball that saved the game, only to have it delayed, and Detroit winning a little later on.
1-2 pitch is a strikeout, and it's all Heath can do to come up with a ball, and the Jays get a break. So strikeout number 8 turns out to be a Pyrrhic one for Frank Tanana, because Orge is on and Moore's coming up.
Well, in a close ball game like this, you see a play like that that's probably too early to develop a thought. But you think of Mickey Owens back in the 1941 series. Or John, of course, it could be harmless because, after all, it is 2 outs. But you want to get your outs while you can. That ball did bounce in the dirt, so it'll be a strikeout, the 8th of the ball game, and a wild pitch. Mike Keith's really had a tough year. He and Matt Noakes both have had tough years defensively because of the types of pitchers that Roger Craig left behind when he went to the San Francisco Giants. Roger, the pitching coach here, and now the Giants lead the National League in wild pitches.
Moore swung on and missed.
Of course, to amplify that, the reason is the split-fingered fastball. As you said, Jack Morris having a pretty good year, 18-11, gutsy game yesterday. 39 home runs, 24 wild pitches, but that's because he throws that split finger fastball at about 80-some miles per hour. And when it goes down in a hurry. You almost have to shovel the ball out. I mean, it's almost like the drills you do in spring training. Obviously, you did for 4 decades, Timmy.
Don't remind me.
2 out, Orge at first. And he has to block that one, and the count is 1-1. Tying run at first base. 2 out. We're in the 7th inning. 1-0 Detroit. Heath readjusting his shin guard. Tigers, remember, were a game back when this series began. They had to win a big game Thursday against Baltimore to make it a game behind instead of 2. There's Orge, the runner at first. And then 2 one-run victories Friday and yesterday. That's hit into left field for a base hit. Gibson will cut it off near the line and hold Orge at second. So the strikeout and the wild pitch, and the inning is prolonged, and here comes Liriano. Maybe.
Looks like he does not know how to pitch to Charlie Moore. He's got the single up the middle. He walked him on 4 pitches, and there I just figured throw a fastball away, and Moore jumped on it.
Sometimes the number of outs determine whether you're going to take an extra base. It's really no advantage for Orge to be on third base, taking a chance that Gibson will go to third. But had he kept going, there's a pretty good shot that Gibson still would have gone to second base to keep the go-ahead runoff second. But with 2 outs, no sense in taking that chance.
Tiger bullpen will get busy, and Dickie Knowles is one of those who gets up. Liriano, the switch-hitting second baseman. It's a chopper foul, and the count is 0-1. Mark Thurman and Dickie Knowles in the bullpen. Thurman, the left-hander. And what's happening with the Tigers, it's pretty interesting. Henneman's their main man right now, but he's pitched 5 innings in 2 days, and Sparky Anderson saying before the game he could use him maybe for an inning, maybe. And Hernandez has had a real rough year. So it's Knowles and Thurman at the moment. 1-1. This could get very interesting as we proceed here.
Well, what could happen is that Sparky will say, or really manage differently than what he talked about in the interview. He might manage for tomorrow if the situation presents itself.
Precisely. Two and 1 account.
Well, also that pass ball or wild pitch, I believe it was a wild pitch that allowed the runner to get down to first. What it does is it makes Tanana throw more pitches, so that's going to affect him in the 8th and 9th inning.
2-1 is grounded to short. Trammell to Whitaker. Tanana works out of it. No runs, 1 hit, and the frustrated Blue Jays leave 2 more. They've stranded 7.
Charlie Moore makes it close. So we said a former right fielder with the Brewers can run very well for a catcher. Just barely got him for the 3rd out.
And a chorus of Take Topsa. That's the way it looked at 3:30. Look at where the shadow line was. And then at 4 o'clock, it looked like that. And then at about 4:30 Eastern time, that was the scene. And now live at 5:10 roughly, as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. 1-0 Detroit. Larry Herndon's 2nd inning home run is the difference in the game, and Alan Trammell to lead off for the Tigers. 1-0 the count. Trammell, Herndon, and Lemon. Jimmy Key missing. 2-0.
Orge in at third base. The reason he's in is because Trammell bunted earlier in the ball game. He ought to be back in his position. There's no way in a 1-run ball game in the 7th inning Trammell's going to be bunting again.
Where'd that miss? 3-0.
Sometimes that's the advantage, and he might be the MVP. Maybe. But sometimes that's the advantage of laying down a bunt. Even though you make an out, you put all sorts of thoughts in fielders' mind.
And that's ball 4. So Trammell draws a leadoff walk in the bottom of the 7th, and Larry Herndon comes to the plate. Jimmy Williams unhappy over Barnett's calls.
usually argue a ball and strike or you'd be thrown out of the game, but you let them know something.
Got a lot of options if you're Sparky Anderson. Trammell can run 21 out of 23 attempts for stolen bases. Probably be more if he hadn't had the groin pull and the little bit of a hamstring problem.
And now Herndon is ahead in the count, so that negates the pitch out for the most part. It takes a lot of courage to pitch out and run the count to 2-0. Here comes Jimmy Williams out to talk about that.
And they shuffle around in the Blue Jay bullpen, and the forgotten man, Tom Henke, who has not pitched since last Sunday, and the reason is that Williams likes Henke to work normally when they have the lead, and exclusively, in fact, when they have the lead, but there's no lead to protect if you don't win this one.
Well, I asked him yesterday with the bases loaded, instead of bringing in Eichhorn, did you ever think about bringing in Henke? Didn't want to even talk to me about it. I said, not to second guess you, but did you ever think about bringing him in just to get out of the inning and then go with one of the other pitchers?
That's a question he had to answer a lot yesterday.
I understood that.
One ball, no strikes the count. Trammell at first base with nobody out in the bottom of the 7th inning.
Again, he goes with his strength, which is a sinker. As Timmy said early, tailor-made, just a couple of hops to Liriano, and then Manny Lee's arm takes care of the rest. Again, the sidearm delivery, making sure that Trammell gets down.
2 down, and Lemon is the batter. Fouled away. What's interesting with Jimmy Key, only 3 Tigers have hit the ball in the air today. Gibson, a soft pop-up in the first. Heath fouled out in the 5th. And then the one mistake, and that's the ball game right now. Herndon's home run. Everything else has been on the ground. There's a swinging bunt.
That's a bad play. 2 out, nobody on. You're bunting, really leaving it up to the next guy to get the extra base hit. Bad play. Especially when you have the power that Chet Lemon has. He's got 20 home runs. You're in the best hitting part, among the best hitting parks in baseball, and you're going to bunt 2 out, nobody on? No way.
And then dive headfirst into first base, right? Lemon goes down on strikes, and that's the end of the 7th inning. We go to the 8th. Mosby will start it off 1-0 Detroit. Briefly for the record, here's what we have in the NFL. Steelers win over Atlanta. Indianapolis destroys Buffalo. Tampa Bay knocks off Detroit. Cleveland beats New England. San Diego beats the Bengals. Bears rout Philly. New Orleans routs the Rams. And Washington beats St. Louis. Any upsets? You tell me.
Unconfirmed report, also only 4,900 here in Detroit.
Yep.
And it's not necessarily because the Tigers are playing.
As we start the 8th inning, Mosby singles to right field. And the new right fielder getting the ball back in is Scott Luceder, who takes over for Herndon. So Mosby with a single, tying run at first with nobody out, and Mosby with good speed, 38 steals. Bell is the batter. And it's Thurmond in the bullpen and Knowles. Mosby had 3 steals yesterday. 1-0.
You can see how Tanana just quickens his motion with a runner on base. Now that is going to change your control a little bit, unless you work on it in between, which I'm sure he has. But when you throw one way, and a guy like Mosby, and you're looking around him right now, he's only been thrown out 7 times, so 38 steals, only 7 caught stealings. To make you try to get to the plate a little bit quicker, and then you have a guy at the plate that's hit 47 home runs.
In the air to center field as Tanana changed speeds enough to get Bell out in front, and Lemon makes the catch. So the Tigers are 5 outs away from the East, and Benitez is the hitter.
Again, just knowing a fastball is going to come, and what do you get? The changeup, and where is it? Right on the corner. Reach for it. Left shoulder, it pulled out. You'll make a lunge swing, and the result is a fly ball, a weak fly ball to center field.
Benitez struck out and grounded out twice.
To the left side, and after 3 at-bats, that's really what you don't want to have. We talked about your approach earlier in the game. If you're going to make, as a right-handed hitter, an out against Tanana, you would prefer it to be made on the right side of the field, because then your approach is right. And now it's ideal. Benitez can go the other way, and with Evans holding Mosby at first, it's an ideal time to try to find the hole on the right side.
And again, what it makes you do as a hitter is stay back. You have to make contact. You hit and run, start the runner. You have a guy that can handle the bat, hits the ball, as you said, very well to right field. And make him a better hitter.
And hitting and pitching's adjusting, too. And big league hitters, and the reason Benitez has been around so long and done such a good job, is he can adjust.
And he runs up to bunt and takes high, ball 2.
Some adjustment. There again, it's not quite as bad as Chet Lemon trying to bunt with 2 out and nobody on, because you do move Mosby into scoring position. But the thinking behind things is you're leaving it up to the next guy. And here it is, the last game of the season, maybe 5 outs away for Detroit winning it, and to leave it up to the next guy is the wrong approach.
The next guy is Barfield in this instance. Mosby is at first, 1 out, 8th inning, 1-0 Detroit. Mosby goes, it's low, the throw is 9 times. Decent jump, and he outran it. 39 steals for Mosby.
It's not a great jump, but as you said, you can see what speed can do. Tanana holds him close. Heath makes a good throw, a little bit high. Mosby's going to be in safe anyway.
Looked like he started to slide about halfway to second.
Well, if you're going fast enough, you can get all the way to the base, Tim.
I never quite understood that.
Now the 3-0 pitch is a strike, and it's 3-1. Mosby at second. The count, 1 out. In the air to deep right field, but Lusader backs up and makes the catch, and Mosby tags late on his way and beats Trammell's relay. And Tanana backing up on the play alertly. So Benitez hits it hard, but Lusader is there, and then Mosby had to dart back, tag, and race to third. So he's 90 feet away, and Barfield comes up.
And it does change the complexion. And we've seen a couple of wild pitches as you watch Lloyd tag up. Strong throw from Scott Luke. You see Trammell cut it off and make the relay. Kind of a tentative relay because he doesn't want to throw the ball away. But what it does, it takes away the curveball. And we've seen a couple of curveballs bounce. We've seen a couple of pass balls, wild pitches. You just get the ball up a little bit when you throw the breaking ball.
Barfield takes a strike.
options. Is that great changeup, which we saw right there.
That Missouri fastball right there that show me that's about it. He's not going to get a fastball to hit inside. The purpose for that pitch was to throw a ball so he could go back out there with the changeup.
Squibber. Tanana has it. And they're 3 outs away. The changeup. And Sparky Anderson is 3 outs away from going to the playoffs for the 7th time as a manager.
Appreciate your fan support.
To the bottom of the 8th we go. To the bottom of the 8th inning at Tiger Stadium in Detroit. Detroit's finest making their presence known as they ring the field. The brooms are out, and this would be the sweetest of sweeps because it would win the East. It's 1-0 Tigers. Bottom of the 8th, Evans, Morrison, and Heath. Jimmy Key has made 1 mistake today. 0-1. Herndon's home run is the difference. When the Blue Jays batted the 9th inning, 6, 7, and 8, the spots occupied by Cecil Fielder, Manny Lee, and Garth Orge. Not where Williams wants to be in his lineup. 0-2.
This game certainly does dredge up emotions. I remember back in '74, one bad pitch was to Sal Bando, and really wasn't a bad pitch. 3-2 fastball, solo home run in the playoffs. 1-0 loss. You just never really think that that one home run is going to beat you, and usually it doesn't.
Especially at Tiger Stadium.
Well, going back to the '84 playoffs, the great Milt Wilcox and Charlie Leibrandt, 1-0 to get the Tigers into the World Series.
And Evans has gone on strikes. I can't imagine that Jimmy Key has pitched more than a handful of better games in his career than today. But will this ever be sour if they don't score in the 9th? Given up 3 hits, 2 singles to Whitaker, and the Herndon homer. Jim Morrison, 1-0.
It's a good statement about this ballpark. Timmy mentioned the 225 home runs. In most ballparks, with the exception of Fenway, that is an out. Fly ball high, hit high to left, and usually the left fielder comes in and catches that. Here in Tiger Stadium, it's a solo home run, which has put the Tigers in seems like a commanding lead the way Tanana's pitching. These things have a way of changing rather dramatically.
3-0 the count.
You have to be very careful with Jim Morrison. You know, he likes the ball up out of the plate, home run power. Tried to stay out of that area and hasn't been able to do that. As Keys knows, the way that Toronto is hitting, he cannot afford to give up any more runs.
And for that reason, with the bottom part of the order coming up, Mike Heath on deck, I'm surprised he was taken all the way there.
3-1. Anderson also has Henneman now up in the bullpen. 3-2. Mike Henneman can give him an inning. He worked 2 innings in relief Friday and then 3 innings yesterday to get the win. And he's the closer, and there he is. And Sparky can't afford to wait to get Henneman up in the 9th inning. So he's got him up now in the bottom of the 8th, just in case. And Morrison goes down swinging. 7 strikeouts for Jimmy Key. 2 gone. And here's Heath. Heath 0 for 2. Strike. The Tigers, generally a consensus 4th or 5th place pick in preseason, as the bat winds up in the area of Orge. 0-2. The Blue Jays, who had a 3.5 game lead after last Saturday's confrontation with Detroit, and they were 3 outs away from a 4.5 game lead. But then Gibson hit the home run. The Tigers won the game in extra innings. And now that collective look tells you all you need to know. Heath is down on strikes, and Jimmy Key pitches a masterpiece. But what does it all mean? To the 9th, 1-0 Tigers. In Detroit, Al Michaels, Jim Palmer, and Tim McCarver, 51,005. 3rd largest in Tiger history, looking on and ready to do some celebrating. 1-0 Detroit, and for the Blue Jays, their 6, 7, and 8 hitters due up. Fielder, Lee, and Orge, 3 part-time players. The one thing about Fielder, good power. He has 14 home runs in 174 at-bats.
Tanana struck him out the last time on a fastball inside, but the first 2 times he hit the ball hard, once to right and then a base hit to left. So one of the few Toronto hitters that has really seemed to adjust. Last time Tanana just outpitched him, made a great pitch on the inside corner for the strikeout. Let's see what he does here.
Checking the bullpen, Thurman and Henneman. 1-1.
If you're a right-handed hitter, you're up there thinking that he's not going to throw you a pitch to hit on the inside part of the plate. You got to think away, which means the opposite way.
It was a little squiver off to the right side. Mike thought it might have been a pop-up.
Pitchers and catchers are trained to get beat. If you're going to get beat with your best. And his best has been the changeup away and the curveball away.
2-2.
Time he has come in with the fastballs when he's had 2 strikes and been way ahead in the count. 2-2. Of course, you never know with Frank Tanana. He just mixed them up so well today that it's almost like he's like a chameleon. He can change his color depending on what the situation is.
3-2.
You can read the pitches that Tanana's going to throw, at least the changeup, by the way Heath holds his glove. When he holds it down towards the dirt, it's going to be a changeup. Now, Rick Dempsey used to do that. It's a giveaway, but obviously Toronto hasn't picked it up. As a hitter, it's kind of difficult to look behind you.
3-2. strikeouts. Manny Lee. One and oh to draw Morrison in.
How fast do you think that fastball looked after 5 consecutive breaking balls? About 100 miles per hour?
Yeah, right.
Tanana's always been a survivor. Went through 6 losing seasons. Adjusted.
And he's trying to do it in his hometown.
Surviving's one thing. Being picked up by the Queen Mary is quite another. Doing more than surviving today, I'll tell you.
2-1 pitch. 2-2. Bases empty, or John Deck. 1-0 Detroit. Chopper to Morrison. Scoop by Evans. Is the batter. Little squibber, and the Tigers face the Twins. The day belongs to Frank Tanana and Larry Herdon. Next stop, Minneapolis. Detroit wins the East. Another look now, and appropriately, it's Frank Tanana who's involved in the final out. And the Detroit Tigers beat the Toronto Blue Jays 1-0 to sweep the series and win the American League East. Next stop, Minneapolis. Playoffs open Wednesday night at the Metrodome. Frank Tanana is with us. Frank, congratulations, and just share your thoughts with us at the moment right now.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm having a hard time hearing you. Thank you very much.
Share your thoughts right now with us.
Well, you know, my thoughts right now is that I'm so very thankful. First of all, I'd like to give the praise and all the glory to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And I'm just so excited for, you know, not only myself, but all the guys that I played with. We've just battled all year long and have played great ball and got contributions from really the whole team.
What sort of feeling did you have as you came to the ballpark today?
Well, I'll tell you, right after church, it was just the feeling that I knew what I wanted to do. I've had good success against Toronto, and it was just a matter of, I think the twilight helped and had a pretty good sinker screwball.
Frank, have you ever had to pitch a bigger game?
Well, you know, Jim, when you get my age, everyone's the big thing. Because when you stink, you're done. You know what I mean?
Yes, I can relate to that. Let me ask you a question. When you had the problems, you had about 7 or 8 starts where you struggled. What got you back on track?
Well, I'll tell you, Billy told me 2 or 3 starts before it sunk into my head that I really had gotten into a bad habit of throwing too much across my body. My curveball was flat, and it took away really a lot of movement. So I moved my arm over the top, and it was really a mechanical thing.
Did you throw a harder pitch today than the 3-2 fastball to Fielder in the 9th inning?
I don't know how he missed it. I don't think it was that hard, but I think the shadows got him. If I'd have registered 78, that was it. But then again, you're right. That probably was the hardest pitch all day.
But that was kind of your game plan, right? I mean, to stay away from the right-handed hitters with a lot of changeups and curveballs and show them something inside off the plate.
Well, that's really my style. That's the way I'm going to pitch, and you got to go with what got you here, and that's the way we did it. And boy, I'll tell you, Toronto, you know, they've got nothing to be ashamed of. They're a great club, and somebody had to win it and somebody had to lose it. But boy, I'd really like to pay tribute to them. They had a great year. Chemistry is an overused word, but it's one that Sparky loves to describe the success of this ball club. How do you put it into words? Well, I'll tell you, a contribution, no stars. Full team effort, a lot of character. You know, they buried us before the season started. They buried us after we opened up 11-19. But no, Sparky did, and he did a great job of managing, and, you know, everybody contributed. Nobody got down, and, you know, it's cliches, but that was so true. Everybody pulled hard, and, you know, this is what happens. Well, the Tigers won it by a score of 1-0. And then it's on to the playoffs. And has Sparky indicated to you, final question, Frank, which game you would pitch in the playoffs? No. He was worried about today, knew who was going to throw tomorrow, and I think he'll just sit down and work out that in the near future. But we might be looking at you in game 4 the way it looks right now. Well, just give me the ball. I go when he tells me, Frank, it's your turn.
Frank, I
think you're liable to get it, too.
Excuse me, Al. Frank, I've seen you pitch 2 times. You pitched a Monday night game. You shut him out 3-0. Won today, 1-0. You're on your own in the playoffs because we don't do the.
Well,
you won't see us till the World Series.
I'll tell you what, if you're not busy, I'll just fly you in, Jim.
Okay.
Frank, congratulations.
Well, thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay. Frank Tanana, the man of the moment, the man of the hour in Motown, where the Tigers win the East, and will return to Tiger Stadium in just a moment.